going to say this with my whole chest. Keep Tess Holliday's name out of your mouth unless you are praising her for the activism and beauty that she has brought into this world.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. My name's Nadia. We're going to be looking at some TikToks today and talking about them. And since it's finally sunny, we're going on another walk.
We're going to start with this clip from Common Ground Convos today. Here he's asking the question.
Today's question is body positivity. Is it healthy or has it become an excuse for unhealthy fat acceptance?
No, it's not okay to be fat.
Start with this as a basis, right? So
no, I can't look at that.
Would you ever consider that healthy?
No.
Would you ever consider that beautiful?
No.
I'm only responding to her assertion that it's not healthy to be Tess Holliday's size. Whether or not anyone thinks morbid obesity is attractive has nothing to do with the health outcomes, so it's not really worth talking about, and it wasn't the question anyways.
Too skinny is ugly.
So many people are willing to say that.
But it's the
for
truth.
the skinniness,
No.
but they're not willing to say it.
No. If you want a fat person waddling, they can't walk because their thighs are so big, it's not healthy and it doesn't look good.
What would you say is body positivity done right?
Eat healthy, not too much sugar, everything in moderation, apart from...
And I also disagree with her about Tess. I think Tess is actually gorgeous, and that's what makes her message even more impactful and as a result dangerous. Because regardless of how beautiful she is or how glamorous her life seems, obesity is detrimental to our health, and things start to feel really toxic in this space right when we get to this line where we're not willing to say that being overweight has health consequences.
Losing weight for your health is not fat phobic, and if you think otherwise, you are fucking delusional.
Listen, bestie, I am here to speak the truth, and the truth is that health can exist at every size. So if we've established that intentional weight loss has no health benefits, what are non-fat phobic reasons someone would want to lose weight? Overall, I'm just so sorry that your experience as a fat person was so negative that you've resorted to just being fat phobic, as opposed to using a health at every size model for your fitness journey. If you'd like to learn more about this, I'd recommend reading Health at Every Size by Lindo Bacon, as well as Fearing the Black Body, The Origins of Fat Phobia.
It's beyond condescending to tell someone you're sorry they didn't have a positive experience being overweight, and then top it off with if they think weight loss is a health promoting behavior, it's just because they haven't read the right books. The majority of people who become overweight and out of shape are not having a good time. This is the only space I see people celebrating obesity. And if you're trying to convince someone that obesity is healthy, try recommending books that weren't written for and by your movement.
Start with this as a basis, right? So
No, I can't. I am so glad someone is finally talking about this. Like, it's just so brave of a woman who grew up in a culture of diet pills and slim fast and Weight Watchers and grapefruit diet and low-fat snacks to finally say something about weight. It's not like the prevailing attitude around bodies has been the only ones worthy of respect and dignity are the ones deemed beautiful. Where would that come from? Truly groundbreaking for somebody to finally say something about how fat people are just so unhealthy. I have never heard that before.
I don't know if this is a symptom of too much time spent on TikTok, but information doesn't need to be delivered in some kind of progressive song and dance in order for it to be valid or relevant. Saying that it's not healthy to be Tess Holliday's size is just a fact, and what jock scientists and a lot of others seem to want in this space is a hot take. Some Hayes-style narrative about how it's not only inconsequential to be obese, but maybe even a lifesaver.
It's 2022, sweetie. I can't believe we are still having this discussion. The size of somebody's body does not determine their health.
Who would have thought that even the obesity epidemic that conveniently supports the diet culture industry was made up for what? For profit.
If you're considered overweight or obese, do you know that you're actually more likely to survive everything from car wrecks to heart disease to cancer and all kinds of other things?
The main thing to understand is that for the last 300-ish years, white folks have been marketing fatness as a black trait.
Of course, those kinds of facts are going to resonate if you're struggling with your weight. It's way easier for us to accept information that requires no change or action to be taken on our part. And And when we think about the dominant message in most of this activism, it's just keep doing what you've been doing, but don't feel guilty about it. Otherwise, the patriarchy wins.
What do you want me to do?
Continue like you were doing already.
That's exactly what I thought. I hope you say.
You know, I truly don't understand why people hate fat people. Like, if it comes down to it, and it's like the end of times, aren't you gonna want something big and juicy to on? I'm not saying skinny people aren't gonna be delicious to dine on in the end of times, but what I'm saying is if you go to Church's Chicken, KFC, Popeyes, wherever, and you order yourself chicken and they give you a drumstick and it doesn't have any meat on it, what would you do? Listen, don't shoot the messenger. Just be smarter.
Again, this idea that people just hate you is easier to believe and accept. If you work to convince yourself the world is just against you, you're placing the burden of change outside of yourself. But changing people's attitudes about something like obesity can only do so much. The way changing our attitude about cancer wouldn't make it less harmful to our bodies, pretending that excess adipose tissue is completely inconsequential doesn't actually make it inconsequential.
Don't shoot the messenger. Just be smarter.
I want to say this with my whole chest. Keep Tess Holliday's name out of your f***ing mouth unless you are praising her for the activism and beauty that she has brought into this world.
So don't dare question the dogma and keep Tess's name out of our mouths unless we're praising her for the beauty that she's brought into this world. How positive can things really be in a vacuum-sealed echo chamber where any sign of dissent is met with hostility? That's almost the definition of the word delusion.
If you have been on the internet at all these last couple of days, you've probably seen the new movie called The Whale, starring Brendan Fraser, and I have a couple of things to say.
Since the movie The Whale, starring Brendan Fraser, is now trending on Twitter and all over the internet, I'm gonna break down why the film is very harmful and why Brendan Fraser doesn't deserve praise for it.
I think the response I've seen from fat acceptance to the movie The Whale is definitely cusping this line of delusional. To start, I think this hostility towards Brendan Fraser is pretty misguided and basically a missed opportunity on their part.
There's a lot to be said about Darren Aronofsky's The Whale. Personally, I would love to start off with standpoint theory, the theory of knowledge that says that you cannot understand what it's like to be a part of an oppressed group unless you are a member of said oppressed group. And before you say Brendan Fraser is fat, he is nowhere near 600 pounds. That's why it's important to engage with the fatness spectrum when discussing anti-fatness. Smaller fat folks commit lateral violence against larger fat folks every day, and this is no exception.
This isn't violence against anybody. This is actually a comeback story of an actor who was body shamed basically out of Hollywood. And it seems like it could have been a good opportunity for BOPO or fat acceptance to open up a conversation about the unrealistic and harmful expectations that we put on men in Hollywood.
I've said it once and I'll say it again. There's no reason why in 2022 anybody should be in a fat suit.
If we're being honest with ourselves and we're not participating in the fat acceptance fantasy of what it means to be 600 pounds, then we don't need to think hard about why a fat suit would be used for this role.
No, I'm not saying get a 600-pound actor. I'm saying The Whale in and of itself is a fatphobic film and shouldn't have been made. The entire premise of this film is that fat is bad and his weight is killing him. This entire film is inherently fatphobic. Like, the entire point of this movie is that, like, he's fat and it's killing him and then he wants to make amends and then he dies of being fat. Like, there's no way for this movie to not be fatphobic. This film is going to cause so much damage. It is an inherently fatphobic film, and I'm really disappointed that something like this was made in 2022.
It's not actually intrinsically fatphobic to tell the story of a 600-pound person being negatively affected by their 600 pounds. It's just that that story clashes pretty hard with the living your best life version of being 600 pounds that fat acceptance or body positivity is trying to sell.
They're using it to basically demonize, again, fat folks and show how disgusting we are in society's viewpoint. So they're just perpetuating anti-fatness and fat phobia, which is so great, so perfect. And here's the thing, it is not that hard to make a movie starring a fat person that does not perpetuate fat phobia or anti-fatness. Fat people do cool things all of the time.
Again, maybe if you've been in this echo chamber long enough, you don't actually realize how bizarre it sounds to ask for a movie about a 600-pound person doing cool things. That's the fantasy of fat acceptance almost epitomized. But indoctrinating people into these ideals is really consequential. Someone choosing to live a lifestyle that leads to obesity is not the same thing as someone being convinced by a person like Tess Holliday that being morbidly obese has zero consequences and brownies and avocados are basically the same thing. So we're gonna end on an actual body positive note and look at a weight loss progress from another subscriber who was kind enough to reach out to me and share their story. This is Natalia.
They say there are 5 stages of grief: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. Well, I'd like to add one more: revenge.
She started her weight loss journey a little over a year ago, I believe, and she's lost over 130 pounds. She started with bypass surgery, but you don't do what she did without putting in a lot of hard work and staying committed to your goals. Sometimes I see people write off bariatric surgery as the easy way out, but the surgery doesn't work if you don't put in the work, which she obviously did. And putting that kind of work into yourself is what I would call actual body positivity. She's also sharing about her experience with loose skin now, which I extra appreciate. So I'm linking her Instagram in the comments for anyone who wants to connect or follow her progress. Thank you so much for making it to the end if you're still here with me. I'm just gonna end this video with a little catch up on what's been going on since I haven't put a video up in almost a month on here. I shared on my community page that I was once again targeted by the fat acceptance people on TikTok, and this time they were a little bit more successful than they were last time. Who knows where they're gonna get next time, but it definitely derailed me a little bit on top of all the other stuff I have going on in my personal life and the issues I've been having with my appetite. But if anything, this has all just been more motivation to counter the arguments made by fat acceptance, to keep working on this channel and putting out content that is basically the opposite of them. So that's what we're gonna keep doing on here. And I really can't thank you all enough for the support and advice that I've gotten when these situations have come up. I'm gonna have another video up soon and I will talk to you on the next one. Take care until then.